Hey guys, Thunderbro here, and I want to give a lot of props to Dororo. I'll save you guys the typical praise, all the things you want from a good anime we got. Great characters, great animation, great voice acting. We know this all too well. Also, if you're a big fan of samurai anime like me, then this series was an absolute blessing. Both it and Kimetsu no Yaiba have really held it down for samurai anime in 2018-19, in the absence of Gintama. Now, I apologize if this has been covered before in another video somewhere on YouTube, but this is really the foremost topic on my mind recently, so I'm just going to give it my 2 cents. Spoiler warning going forward if you haven't seen the whole 2018 series. Now, Dororo has a lot of characters in quite a few different situations. Dororo herself is introduced being attacked for trying to con a bunch of strangers, and I feel like this is a foreshadowing of the kind of themes to come in the series. Hyakimaru is basically a ronin going around slaying monsters for the sake of recovering his body, since basically his entire body is prosthetic. Tahomaru is a privileged noble with loyal retainers, and Kagemitsu Daigo is the lord of that same household. And the first blatant indication of the series' biggest theme happens when he sacrifices his child Hyakimaru to the Hall of Hell for peace in the realm on the surface, but truly for political and military glory on the outside. Daigo had to literally sell his own child so he can be a successful lord in general, since he was in an ongoing war with Asakura. While initially this sacrifice paid off, he would not be off the hook that easy. For whatever reason, one of the demons did not devour Hyakimaru, so he lived. But the effects of Hyakimaru surviving were not immediately apparent. However, when Hyakimaru became old enough, due to the training and prosthetic limbs given to him, Hyakimaru eventually became a thorn in the side of his state. Hyakimaru would prove to be the undoing of Daigo. His army was decimated by him, his son and wife both perished in a fire, all because Hyakimaru went on the offensive. While initially giving Hyakimaru to the Hall of Hell seemed to pay off, Daigo's greed and ambition was the cause of his downfall. The very child he sacrificed returned to destroy him, and everything he knew. If he didn't give Hyakimaru to the Hall of Hell, he may have remained locked in a stalemate with Asakura. But you can argue that would be better for him than losing his entire state, his wife, and his son, and eventually his own life. Itachi was a former rebel under the employ of Dororo's father, Hibukuro. Itachi was influenced by his desire for money and acclaim to betray Hibukuro and join the samurai they were rebelling against. That went on to backfire on him. After betraying a legitimately good man because of his greed, those same samurai he teamed up with used him as bait and left all of him and his troops to die. But his punishment was not done. Since he didn't learn his lesson the first time, in order to acquire Hibukuro's gold, he dug up the grave of Dororo's mother. Then many of his men were slaughtered by 2 sharks. Still desiring the gold, he took Dororo hostage and humiliated her. As a final nail in the coffin he was digging for himself, he was killed by Tahomaru's forces and spent his dying breaths staring at the gold he committed so much evil to commit. The way both Daigo and Itachi fell tells quite the story. Daigo's entire plan was undone by the child he sacrificed to put that plan into action, and Itachi died inches from the gold he wanted while watching the kid whose mother and father he betrayed to get that gold claim the gold for herself. Clearly the late Osamu Tezuka and the writers at Studio Mappa wanted to hammer home the idea that excess greed and excess ambition can be your very undoing. That life always gets you back for committing evil, for exploiting others, and for making others suffer. Even our main character Hyakimaru was not safe from this. Hyakimaru eventually lost grasp of his humanity while he was hunting for his missing body parts. The words of Jukai described it perfectly. He said that if you return Hyakimaru his prosthetic leg, he may never become human again. And he was almost right. The more body parts Hyakimaru regained, the less human he became, ironically. He became more and more dedicated to regaining his body at all costs. At first he only fought demons, and those with relatively peaceful auras would be spared. He eventually fought and attempted to kill anyone who impeded his way to get the body parts he so desires. The scene where he rode a demon horse and decimated the soldiers in his path seemed to be indicative of this transformation. Even Dororo, one of the closest people to family Hyakimaru ever had, was on the verge of abandoning him because of Hyakimaru's single-minded focus on his mission and his lessening sense of mercy along the way. Hyakimaru's single-minded focus led him to his brutal final fight with Tahomaru, and while he ultimately decided not to kill him, it was too little too late. Hyakimaru got his eyes back, but Tahomaru was too weak to leave the temple, and their mother, who showed up to stop the brothers, opted to stay with Tahomaru during his final moments. Jukai also appeared to stop the fight, and Hyakimaru's father figure, his real mother, and his brother all perished in that fire in return for the eyes he fought so desperately to retrieve. But it seems for his act of mercy towards the end, though too late to save the aforementioned people, Dororo at least lived. But even then, I don't think Hyakkimaru felt like he deserved to be around Dororo and grow up with her because of the evils he had committed. That's at least how I perceived it. Hyakkimaru at least lived because the good in his heart won over the evil. We know he's a good guy, but he himself is not immune to greed and selfishness. I know this part about Hyakkimaru having a cruel and or evil side might be debatable, since we're so used to seeing him in a positive light, and you can even argue in his defense because he was the one who was unfairly sacrificed to the Hall of Hell for Daigo's prosperity, and that it was within his right to attempt to get all of his body back. But the way I saw it, Tezuka and Mappa seem to be communicating that even that does not give Hyakkimaru the right to commit wanton destruction, and that even he, as screwed over by life as he was bound by the laws of rationality and morality. Anyway, that's my video. I hope you enjoyed it if you made it to the end. Once again, I apologize if this is a topic that's being covered, but since I completed Dororo recently, this is definitely the most interesting thing on my mind to put to a video. Anyway, thanks for the positive responses to the Legend of the Galactic Heroes video I put out recently. I'm super glad you all enjoyed it. My social media bullcrap is in the description. Thanks again, and take care, everybody.